Hi, welcome to my video on defining perpendicular bisector of a segment and the median of a triangle. Perpendicular bisector of a segment divides the segment into two equal parts and forms right angles at the point of intersection. So bisector means two equal parts and perpendicular lines form right angles. A bisector passes through the midpoint because it bisects. In this diagram, if EH is the perpendicular, notice the symbol for perpendicular, it's that one. I'm going to put a little 90-degree angle there. Perpendicular bisector of AB. Then, if that's the perpendicular bisector of AB, AB is cut into two equal pieces, AO, BO, and angle EOB, EOA, HOB, and HOA are all right angles. And in this diagram, if XE is the perpendicular bisector of CT, so perpendicular bisector forms right angles here, and a bisector has two equal parts. So CE equals TE. That's perpendicular, remember that's perpendicular bisector passes through the midpoint, so those two segments are equal. And that means that angle XEC is a right angle, and XET is 90 degrees. I could have said that angle XET is a right angle. Two of them are right angles. They're 90 degrees here and right here. Practice, pause the video, and work these out. When you're done, press play and you see if you're right. In this diagram, it says that OC is the perpendicular bisector of WM. If WO is 6.7 meters, WO is 6.7. If that's a perpendicular bisector, then that's the midpoint that bisects, so that segment is equal to that one. That means that MO is 6.7 because they're equal. That means that WM is 6.7 doubled, or add them together and you get 13.4. You can multiply by 2 or you can add them together. That means that COM is a right angle, RT. COM is 90 degrees. And that means that COW is a right angle, and that's also 90 degrees. No, 90 degree angles. They're right angles, so therefore they're 90. Number 2, triangle. There's a triangle ABC with a segment AM. Triangle ABC is isosceles. Isosceles has two sides equal. With the base, BC is 10. So BC is 10. That's this base down here. That's the base. Now we know in an isosceles triangle, we have two congruent sides and a base. So the base is, if that's the base, then that means that AC and AB must be equal because we said it was isosceles. The equal sides is not the base. So the third side, which is the base, is not equal normally. So that's 10. So if AC is 13 centimeters, so that's 13 centimeters from there to there. Now it says that AM is the perpendicular bisector. AM is the perpendicular bisector of BC. So that's the perpendicular bisector of BC. Perpendicular bisector, perpendicular means it forms two right angles, one each there. And bisect means that's cuts it in half. So that piece, so MB is equal to MC, and it means that M is the midpoint. It says find the length of AM. So, how do we do it? Well, there was, way back on my videos, I did a video on what I call the Pythagorean property, dealing with a right triangle. So, we'll deal with the Pythagorean property has a right angle, and if that's a right angle, we call that C, which is the hypotenuse opposite the right angle, and there's A and there's B. So I did a whole video on that, but I'll get to that now in a minute. If this is a midpoint and that's 10, that means that MC is 5 and MB is 5 because it's bisected or is a midpoint. So using the Pythagorean property, what we have here is we have a triangle AMC. AMC. So if that's a right triangle, we have two sides. So we normally, with this, we go C squared equals A squared plus B squared. And C is the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is opposite the right angle. So that means C is 13. Now A or B, 5 could be A or B, your choice. Don't make any difference. But once you fill in C for the hypotenuse, which is opposite the right angle, then the other two sides could be whatever you want. So we work out this 13 squared. 13 times 13 is 169. 5 squared is 5 times 5, 25. So what happens? We take 25 away from both sides. So B squared is 169 minus 25. So because we're adding on 25 to B squared, we take it off this side, which is a minus 25. We take it off of this side. So we, dealing with equations, what we bring this over here and make it a minus. It's the opposite of adding. So that gives us a 144, which is B squared. So B squared is 144. That means that B is the square root of 144. What we're trying to find is what number do you square to give you 144? And the answer is the square root of 144. Square root of 144 is 12. So that means that AM is equal to 12 centimeters by the Pythagorean property. There is the video on the Pythagorean. Takes you through many examples of this. So we have a 12. So we put 12 in our diagram. So the perimeter of AMC is 13 plus 12 plus 5. So that's 25 plus 5. So the perimeter of that triangle is 30 centimeters. Note, since it's isosceles, that means that this side is 13 because these two sides are equal. That means if I wanted to, the perimeter of this triangle, ABM, is the same as AMC. And if you wanted the perimeter of ABC, you go 13 plus 13 plus 10. But I just asked for the perimeter of AMC. The median of a triangle is used occasionally in math, especially up in coordinate geometry, used when we're talking about proofs. So let's explain it here, and we'll use it again later on the other videos and the other units that we do. The median of a triangle is a segment drawn from the vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. So look at the word median. If you think of the word median, you think of middle. That's what I do. Middle. So the median is drawn from the vertex to the midpoint. So let's draw. I have the same triangle here 3 times. Let's draw the median from A. So if I leave A and go to the midpoint of the opposite side, so the median leaves A and goes to BC. So if I call that F, just for a point where it intersects. So if AF is the median, that means that BF equals CF. So a median leaves the vertex and goes to the midpoint of the opposite side. So you got 3 vertices, so you have 3 medians. So let's leave B and draw the median to AC. So if you leave B, you have to go to the midpoint of AC. So the midpoint, pretend is right there, and we'll call it H. So BH, if BH is the median, that means that AH equals CH because it's a median, because it goes to the midpoint of the opposite side. Now we got 2 done. We got 1 from A and we got 1 from B. Now let's draw the median from C. So if you leave C, you have to go to the midpoint of AB. So there's the midpoint, pretend, is in the middle, and we'll call that D. If that's the midpoint and we join it up, then that means that CD is the median. If CD is the median, that means that that side, DA, is equal to DB if DC is a median. So what's a median? It's drawn from the vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. And it has three of them. The diagram here, I got MOR and I got MT. It says if MT is a median of MOR, if that's a median, then T is the midpoint of OR. Because I said it was a median, then T is the midpoint and it's off the opposite side, OR. Another diagram, and it says if HI is a median of EHN, and if EI is 6, and because that's a median, then that's the midpoint. That means that IN is 6 inches. And that means that EN is 6 and 6 makes 12. So if that's a median, leaving here and going to the midpoint, that makes those two segments, that one and that one, IE equal to IN. So IN is 6 because the two segments are equal because that's a midpoint. And EN is 12 because it's the sum of those two. Or you can double, whatever you want. So pause your video, work all these out, and when you get them done, play it back to see if you're right. Here we go. Practice. BY is a median of triangle ABC. So that's a median, so that's a midpoint. So Y is the midpoint. That point is midpoint, M-I-D-P-T, midpoint of AC. Number 2, if T is the midpoint of PO, if T is the midpoint of TO, that means that TM is the median of the triangle. Median of the triangle. Because what's a median? It's drawn from a vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. So that's switching it around. Number 3. Let's see what we got here. Let's fill in this information here. We got all this triangle. We got lines are going everywhere. AB is 7. So let's put a 7 right there. And we know it's in meters. XV is 12. So let's put a 12 there and put a line like that to indicate that we got XV from here to here. Again, it's meters. YV is 18. YV, so let's put 18 here and put a line going from here right to there. Okay. Now it says that XB is a median. XB is a median of XYV. So if that's a median of this triangle, that means that that's a midpoint of YV. That means that YB equals VB. So if that's a median and that's a midpoint, that means that that's 9, and that's 9. Okay. It says that AB is a median of triangle XBV. XBV is this triangle, and it says that AB is a median. So that means that XA equals AV, because that's the median of this triangle. A median leaves the vertex and goes to the midpoint of the opposite side. And again, because that's a midpoint, that means if that's 12, XV is 12, that means that AX is 6 and AV is 6, because the midpoint is in the middle, bisects it. A median going to the midpoint, that means a median is really a segment bisector, because it's going passing through and cutting it in half. Find the perimeter of triangle ABV. So the perimeter is 7 plus 9 plus 6. And that gives you 22. So the official answer is 22 meters. But you're working your way around the triangle. Now, number 4, left number 4 for left. It's a good one. We have a triangle ABC, and we have a segment leaving B and going to T. It says that AB is perpendicular to BC. AB perpendicular to BC. So that perpendicular gives you a right angle right there. So we have a right triangle. Okay, keep that in mind. BT is the median of ABC. BT is a median. This is a median leaving the vertex and going to the midpoint of the opposite side. That means that that segment is equal to that segment. TA is equal to TC. Find the length of AC. What's the length here? Well, remember just then I said Pythagorean. We have a right triangle. Remember, if you have a right triangle, there it is, with a right angle. And you have a right angle, but not, you have what? C is the hypotenuse, which is opposite the right angle. And A and B could be, A and B are the legs, which are the two sides that are perpendicular. But you can put A there, B there, or vice versa. But C has to go where the hypotenuse is. If you use C squared equals A squared plus B squared, which is the Pythagorean property on a right triangle for the length of the sides. So they're asking me to find this side AT, but let's use the right triangle to get AC. So let's go AC is that side, so we can keep it. So if this side is 6, which is the A, and that side is 8, so we'll put those two in. 6 and 8, 8 and 6 makes no difference. But notice this is the C. So I call AC the C that's in this triangle here. So we have 6 squared is 36. 8 squared is 8 times 8 is 64. Okay, done. That means that AC squared is equal to 100 when you add them up. And that means that what number squared gives you 100? That means that AC is the square root, because the square and the square root are the inverse of each other. So AC is square root of 100 is 10. So that means if that AC is 10, and this is the midpoint, that means that there are 5 and 5. So the length of AT is 5, and it says feet, so 5 feet. Notice I didn't put feet in through here. I kept it till the end because I know it's the units is feet. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this video. And if you enjoyed your video, you can click on my, if you're not already a subscriber, click on the like button, click on the subscribe button, and the notification bell, because there's more videos that being developed. You write a comment on my video if you wish. And you may visit my math website at www.mathfullyexplained.com. And there you'll get information in different sections. Me has my degrees and teaching experience. My video section has the ideas or concepts I'm going to use to help you learn your math, different strategies. And section on content has the topics and the number of videos on each of those topics. And the black font has the videos that are online right now on my YouTube channel, and the red font is the videos that will be developed in the near future. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.